Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Thank you for asking.
I'm very, very glad to meet you.
Likewise.
And please state your name.
My name is in Hebrew, Zuken. When I was a kid, home they called me Zukin. Now, from all the years from Germany and Poland and concentration camp, my name was changed. I with no reason. I lined up when I came to the United States, Siegmund, and they called me all my papers, everything is Siegmund, but my birthday is Zukin. And even my birthday, it changed too. From the old camps when I came, I make myself younger, older to survive here. But I was born in 1920, May 1927, yeah. So now, last May, I was 90 years old. Yeah.
Can I know how to?
Thank God, yeah.
And what's your Yiddish name?
Zuken.
The first name?
Zuken.
What is the first name?
Yeah. Oh, the second name is Listwa. Yeah. But they call me Zuken, old, yeah, Zuken.
And what was your father's name?
Laser.
And what was your mother's maiden name?
And my mother's maiden name was Gibbs.
How many siblings were you?
4 of us.
In which town, which city did you grow up?
I grew up in college, but in the suburb, and they call it Stavishan. Like you take in New York, Long Island, but the main city was college. I grew up here.
What did your father do for Parnassa?
My father was Panasa. He had a tailor shop. He employed about 3-4 people. And this over there was like upper class, yeah.
So from your childhood, as you grew up in college, what memories do you have of the community, the city, or the town where you lived?
We were in this borough, in this Stuyvesant, we were maybe 500 Jewish people. We had a synagogue, we had a mikveh, we had the Jewish Hebrew school, and my memory was no good. The Polish people were very, I was pointed out always that we are Jewish, we were separate. Yeah. I went to Poland, we had to go to school, compulsory to public school. So I went to school from 8 o'clock till 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock I came home, and then in the afternoon we went to Hyder and spent 7-8 hours. And then we came home at night, make homework and went to sleep. And the only days we had is Shabbos. The whole city, everybody was 100% Orthodox. Business, everything was closed. Nobody, like European people. Yeah. Sunday was we had it free. So as a kid, used to play soccer and go run around, go swimming, kids. Yeah. So this was our life. But I don't have much good memory when I was a kid. Very bad memory. I was very bullied in the Polish school. And in the street, if you know what went on in Polish, especially where I came, it was near the German border, very anti-Semitic, very. In my opinion, I hate more the Polacks than the Germans. I can stand, when I hear the Polish language, I can stand it. It wakes me up, I get nervous. So it wasn't so easy to live in Poland.
In particular, what anti-Semitic memories do you have as a child?
Like I said, in school, in the winter, we Jewish kids, the first thing, I always lined up in the class in the back seats, always. And the teachers always picked on us, on the Jewish. So let's say we had a class like 40 kids, maybe 6 or 8 kids were Jewish people, Jewish kids. They always would sit in the back. We lined up somehow. And we had to leave always, especially in the winter, like 10 minutes before the classes was over. They let us out about 10 or 5 minutes ahead of the Polish kids because they threw snows with rocks and always. Now, like, let's say, as a kid, when I went, let's say we had lakes, and the lakes were frozen. We had we went to ice skate. When we ice skate, the Polish kids came, we had to step aside. You understand? And let's say a Sunday we went to play soccer, Jewish kids. We never associated with them. On the field, and when the group of Polish kids came, we had to go away.
So, I mean, with your classmates, Polish classmates and neighbors, you didn't play?
No. I had no Polish, no Christian, no Gentile association. We lived our life, and they didn't want to. This was our way of life.
And what about non-Jewish neighbors, adults?
The same thing. We didn't associate with them.
And when you mentioned that your father had 4 employees, were they Jewish?
Yeah. At the end, I remember my father had a Polish guy, a kid, maybe over there when they're reached 13 years old, that they put him to learn a trade. So there's a Polish family, and I remember my tata got paid to teach him as a Schneider. So otherwise we had three Jewish boys that worked for my father. But in general, like no association with them. The only thing is my father was a custom tailor, and he worked for the police, and then for the little villages and the forest, the police, the firemen. He made uniforms, so we made a living. We were never hungry, but we never had like here,
Yeah, but in Poland in those days, not many people had a good panosa.
No, we had panosa because in the winter, before the winter, the farmers, my father worked for the farmers, they brought us potatoes, and we had a cellar in the kitchen. We filled it up with potatoes, and then the ones who work on the forest, they brought us wood, and we had a camera. We stacked it up, so we were not hungry. And there was a Jewish butcher in the town, so when they killed, shachten a cow, once a week or once a month, everybody bought meat. And then Thursday, there was a market where all the farmers came and they sold goods. So my father and mother went, they bought a chicken or a kachka or a gun. The life. And my mother was busy baking and kochen for Shabbos, and we looked forward for Friday. Friday afternoon, everything closed, the whole city. We went to shul. After shul, we ate. Yeah. And then on Saturday, we went to shul. And then Friday, we made shul. And I remember there was a Polish bakery. I used to carry there. I was a kid. Yeah, and this was the way of life. Yeah, otherwise, we lived separate, yeah.
Now, as I hear from you, the majority of your father's clients were non-Jews.
The majority was non-Jews, but in town there was like the young Israel, a few. There were the rich Jews, and they wore different clothes, So my father had a few clients there, yeah. A few Jewish, yeah.
Kalisz. So you mentioned Kalisz. Where's that near? What area?
And near Poznan, between Poznan and Lodz. It's a big city, Kalisz, yeah.
So it is a big city. And
Yeah, yeah.
okay, how many synagogues were there?
Oh, in the big city, there was quite a few. There were culture, there were theaters, everything. But where I lived, it's like near college, where we belonged to college. And like I said, we had they had a gymnasium, they have Jewish school over there. They have hospitals.
Now, there was only one shul in that area? There wasn't like Reform and Orthodox?
No, no, no. Where I lived, only one shul, and there was a steeple. You know, the young Israel, they went to steeple. And we had a rabbi, and I remember the rabbi had a big room, and there were a few chassidim, we call them chassidim, the young Israel, and they were studying Gemara. And a matter of fact, in the winter, they used to, how they call it, they used to go from town to town, preachers. In English, they have a preacher, they call it Yiddish. They used to tell us masses, you know, in the afternoon. So we had a room near the shul, the steeple. There was an oven, and we used to go there, and this was our entertainment. They took masses, you know, entertainment, Yiddish. But we have no associations. I had no association with Christians whatsoever.
Who was the rabbi? You remember?
No, I don't remember. No, listen, I was 13 years old.
You went to shul with your father?
I went to shul with your father. As a matter of fact, my father, every morning he got up, he went to shul, Likesville, and I went with him. Yeah. On Shabbos, we went all to shul. My mother went to shul. I don't remember my sisters, I don't know. Yeah. And this was the way of life.
Were there any Hasidic people living there?
Yeah, they call him, now they call him Young Israel, like Young Israel, the Hasidim, yeah. But everybody was Orthodox, you know.
Was there anybody that wears shtreimel?
No, not the Stramo like the big one. They wear a little hat, I remember them without a dashik. You know what a dashik is? Yeah, these are the ones, yeah. And they were studying Gemara, or the rabbi was a few. There were a few families.
Was your father Hasidic?
Not Hasidic, but he was Orthodox, you understand? Yeah. We didn't, Friday afternoon was closed. This is my wife, Marlene.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, I don't want to disturb
It's
it.
okay, nice to meet you.
The same day, the same thing.
And this was the way of life. Nobody dared to work or smoke Shabbos. Everybody was closed.
So then came, when Hitler came to power,
Yeah.
so how did it begin? How did it start off?
And I remember
When did you people started feeling the tsuras?
it was September the 3rd. The Germans came, 1939. They came. I remember like I say, I remember the cars, I remember everything. They came on right away. They started, they occupied the city, they executed the mayor and the police or even the priest. They executed, we had a marketplace. 3 people I remember they executed right away. I think the mayor, the priest, and somebody else. And then in a few days, few weeks, they started over the Jews. They says we have to deliver furniture with bedgewand. You know what bedgewand is, yeah? Because they need it for the troops. And then, so we formed a committee right away, a Jewish committee. We formed and they delivered, and then they said they need silver and all kind of stuff, and we delivered. And then my father still was working, business was, as a matter of fact, the German army, the soldiers, they used to deal with the Jewish stores. And then within a few weeks, then the occupied occupied troops came, not the Wehrmacht. And then they started with the restrictions. What I can say, I remember my uncle, my mother's brother. They arrested him because where I lived, there was all the villages. There were Germans because this was near the German. Somebody got a complaint on my uncle, so they arrested him and they tortured him. Then they let him out. Thank God he survived the Holocaust. He died in Israel lately. And we lived there till January 18, 1940. January 18, 1940. So in December, there was a very, very bad weather, like here now. In December, they gave orders. There's a list from all the Jews, everybody who lived in the store. And before I want to start, we were the first Jews in this area. So in December, in November, in December, we had to deliver a list, all the Jews, how many Jews, where we live. In January 18, 1940, bitter cold. They came, and they said the orders, we all have to assemble in a school. All the Jews, we leave everything. We assembled, we went to school overnight. They took away everything. We had to undress naked, and they took away everything. They looked at the jewelry and everything. And from there, they took us to the city, to college. Maybe like from Brooklyn to New York. And they put us in a marketplace, a closed marketplace. And they assigned us, every family, like 10 by 10 with charcoal. And we stood there for 3 weeks. The family, they gave us bread and coffee. And we stood there for 3 weeks, and then they put us...
That was your father, mother,
Yeah.
and your siblings.
Yeah, and sibling, yeah.
How many siblings did you have?
3.
3 siblings.
Four of
So
us,
that's,
yeah.
so that's 6 altogether.
Yeah, 6 altogether.
And what did your father say when he saw all this happening?
You couldn't-
What were you thinking?
Well, we were prepared, because there was always thought they're going to kill us, they're going to send us away for labor camps. Special where I live,
Okay, so where were we up to? We were
Yeah,
up
you asked me
to.
what-
Now, did you know about? This was all after Kristallnacht.
I want
yeah, we knew about the Christian.
Did you know about it?
I heard it, I was a kid, they were talking about, yeah.
What did I tell you last time?
And this was low,
Yet there's
so
nothing in here.
let me continue. I know you asked me about the father. My
Yeah,
father.
what your father.
He couldn't do nothing.
You got those things.
We knew when the Germans were going to come, because we used to listen to Hitler's
May
speeches.
not be enough.
And we were trapped to pull up, we couldn't go nowhere.
'Cause that's what
So
I
we
was
have to
gonna
go to
say.
floor. You cannot go.
You have to use it.
You
and
couldn't
then
put the
we'll see,
Polish
because
government didn't let you
maybe
out. Nobody wanted
because
us.
if it's old,
So we
it's
just
not
whatever
gonna be much for you now.
the go was.
So they came and they told you to go to the marketplace, and everybody had to go.
We had to
Don't know
go.
until you actually
So
start using
we
it.
were there in this
That's gonna be
marketplace
helpful now.
for about 3 weeks. Then they put us on the train,
Now,
and they brought us to Lodge. You know the Lodge you get out?
The insole in here.
Lodge you
Let me
get.
just one
Well,
second.
it's
Let
not
me
like
put
this
on
is
that.
phones.
1 second.
It's nothing. Not getting any younger.
Yeah, that's why we're gonna get
Well,
more of you.
basically, yeah.
So
Doesn't
when-
interfere.
would you- so that's why that's gonna be better. That's gonna help us.
An hour, a half hour it goes. So anyhow, we were there for 3 weeks. They put us on the train, and they brought us to Lodge. You know, Lodge ghetto, yeah. But the ghetto was not finished. So we stood there on the station overnight. And they came, because German officers and Jewish committees came from Lodz,
They've gotten stretched.
and they decided they have no, the ghetto was not open.
Exactly.
So they sent us back to college.
And so when that
And they
happens,
put us in the same
without support,
marketplace. And we stood there
so you'll need to
maybe
make up for that
a few days.
by providing it in your shoe.
Then they went ahead
The
and
other
they picked up a village,
option is actually getting like a device,
maybe
that goes around the ankle.
7-8 kilometers from where we lived,
I went to
college.
I
On
don't know,
their-
the counter stuff is probably not gonna do it.
Put us in on their, made a Yule Lager,
Doing that is more of a headache than just
The-
being able to use an orthotic.
evacuated the Polish streets. They chased them out, and they put us in a few streets there. And they called it Borenhagen in German. In Polish is Koziminek, labor camp. There was no fence,
Believe me,
no police. We were there concentrated. On the section was around the shore. And then they round up all the Jews from villages, and they brought us into the shul.
but,
And we
know,
were
it's like
there
anything, they put
a
these
few
things
months.
In the shul.
so you get
No. The people from the villages they put in the shul, but us they divided, like they chased out the Polish people
So
from a section, and every family got a room or two. We were with another family. Then the family moved out, so we were ourselves. So we were with my grandmother,
the socks would be helpful for anything.
my grandmother, on our siblings. And we were there on every morning. And there were 2 German police only, and we had to assemble every morning. And all the people they had to clean the streets, and then they were around this town. They were like slums, so they cleaned the slums. When I was a kid, I was 13 years old. So when all the people left, the few kids where we were left, they chased us around. I was assigned to clean the horses for the German army.
Mostly up in Michigan.
And this went on till
There's a lot of Muslims.
till end of the year.
But anyway, like I said, he's
Till the end of the year.
he's Christian though. But
No, this went on till
okay.
beginning of 41.
I just saw him recently.
Beginning of
All this time you were in so-called ghetto.
no, and they didn't call it a ghetto. I didn't know a ghetto. There was no fence, nothing.
The thing about the Jews in
But we were restricted.
really Jews.
There was no police, nothing.
These are people that just pretended to.
So what kept people from escaping?
Where they gonna go?
Get a lot of Europeans
They did escape, but where they gonna go? Next village, next town. They round them up next town. But people escaped, yeah. So
At that point in time, you had to wear the
yeah, then
yellow
the
star.
the yellow star was already before. In December already, we had to wear a yellow star. But over there, where are you gonna go? So we just waited. What happened? So, but they did send away some people for work.
I can see that.
So in the beginning of 1941,
Because frankly, anyone
they picked out
Jewish that
70 young people.
something, I would think.
They picked out and they sent them into to a forest not far away from us, and they were building a highway.
Well, because the Jews
And they took my brother. My brother was 6 years older than me.
let someone else.
Me, they didn't take
place.
because I was too young. I was 14 or 13 that time.
But I mean,
But
the thing is,
we were hungry. We had no food. But in this place where my brother was,
you know,
they had food. So my brother came home once
okay,
and he said, Ziki, you can come with me. I'm going to take you in and we're going to have something to eat. So I was volunteered and I went there to this place where there were 70 people, 70 young people, and we worked there in the forest. We built a highway because they were preparing the war of Russia.
But even
And this was, and we were there till June.
in the 20s and 30s.
No, we were there.
So that
I remember June
like a big
when Germany invaded Russia.
talk about Israel
The guy who was in charge of us, he had a speech,
believe me, these were
and he said
because the Jews
the war
like
thing.
no freedom in Russia.
And we were there till
Germany
this was June. We were there till August. August, they came and they
freedom and most
sent it, brought us back.
so that's what I'm telling you.
All the 70 of us, they brought us back to the
Believe me, no one ever converted
Kozhiminek.
to be Jewish. Okay, no one would want
I didn't know they call it ghetto, but it still was a Judenlager, they call it. No fence, nothing.
want to be Jewish.
And we stood there overnight.
What you're saying, I'm sure that is true, but still.
In the morning,
Very nice.
we had to assemble.
I know.
And this is the last time I saw my parents,
So you
the last time I saw my relatives.
knew
It's the last time.
But I'm like,
They
now
took
with
us,
history, I'm like, I'm
they
just
put us on a
what
train,
you do.
and they brought us,
They were
all 70 of us.
convert or you leave.
Young people, I was the youngest.
So, you know, to
One
act
of the youngest, maybe there was 3 or 4. And they brought us to Poznan.
So what he's
big
hearing is like a
city.
propaganda type thing. To make
On-
people think, well, if they're not really Jews in
They,
Israel, then they have no
from
right.
there, they took us to a ranch, a farm, big estate.
let the Russians out.
70 of us. They put us in a school
Russians,
with a big fence, 10-foot fence.
they changed. They were
On-
bred to be Jews. You could have been they
There were
could have
2
been farmers,
Ukrainians
they converted.
police.
Yes, they
They
started
took
to
care of
change.
us,
They came to Israel.
and we worked
But then, see,
on the field from sunrise to sunset.
they say that
We had, they gave us a pound of bread once a week. They gave us a bread. We had to watch it, divide it,
no, I'm just saying.
and then every day they put up a kitchen. Every day we had a soup,
I was talking to
coffee in the morning, a soup. But as we work on the field, we stole food. You understand?
kind of Christian, I guess.
So we were not hungry.
I was giving her
And my brother and I, we worked there. We stood there
and I pretty
from
much had her, convinced.
41
She's like, you should write a
till
book.
August
My
1943. We worked there.
But before, when you mentioned that they took these 70 away from that place that was,
Yeah, because you
Golden,
mean,
yeah.
yeah.
did you have an opportunity to say goodbye to the parents?
No. This is the last time I saw my parents.
Yeah, but did you say goodbye? Were you able to?
No. They tell us we came in the afternoon, and they tell us tomorrow morning we're to assemble. So sure, I said goodbye, and then we assembled on the marketplace, and they had trucks, and this is the last time I saw him.
What did your father say to you?
What can they say? But
What about
we stood there for 2.5 years, shut off from the whole world. But somehow we communicated once or twice to the Polish people. They saw a letter or what. So I know that my parents are there. Otherwise, wait, I'm going to tell you later on. I didn't know nothing. I was shut off. To Welte gewesen, shut off. I didn't know from nothing. No communication.
So in this place where you were for 2.5 years,
Yeah.
what did you do there?
On the field, on the range. Like I said, we worked on all kind of work, like a big range, a farm.
when everything
And in the morning we got up. In the spring a matter of fact, when they plowed, they had horses. They had maybe 100 horses,
and you get hit by a car,
maybe 1,000 cows, maybe 1,000 pigs,
that
oxen.
something wrong.
So in the winter we used to clean the horses. In the spring we used to, I had to go, they had horses on the plowed with 4 horses, and I had to go but in the front with the 2 horses because I was the younger one, and I used to guide the horses. Very frightened, but you get used to it,
Into consideration
And we
And who
were
was this work for?
the Canaanite
for the German government, for the farm. Yeah, for the farm. This was the German it took away from the Polish people that this was an estate.
Okay, so they needed this work for, like, I assume, for the army.
For the army, yeah, for the food, yeah.
What's the reason for them to,
And then
look at history?
August 1943, yeah, in the winter we used to go shovel snow.
Look how many years they exist.
So
We used to work very hard,
basically God's rewarding
but we were not hungry, you know.
over the Jews.
On
So that means that Jews were
in 1943,
With the chosen people.
and I was shut off from my parents. I didn't know from nothing.
Okay, so this is
But you had your brother.
I had my brother.
allow Christianity.
My brother, yeah, we stuck together. Wonderful.
Why Christianity came
On
about,
1943 in August,
what was that about?
2 trucks arrived with machine guns with Gestapo and say,
Okay, and
from nowhere, got on the trucks.
basically Jesus was similar.
And we left everything. We went on the trucks. They put us on
From the rabbinical order,
they brought us on a place, an assembled place where there were already more people.
it's all because
Now I want to point it out.
the Reformation. Back
This
then,
happened
I mean, think of
after I found out, you know, I think
the Reform movement.
when the war finished, this was 1943.
Where there was just a change from
Where my parents were, I tell you, they destroyed, they put them in the gas chamber and everything. I didn't know from nothing.
so that became Christianity.
So they liquidated all the camps. There were a lot of camps there. They were building the Autobahn.
Everything, but
They were liquidated, all men. And they brought them in to assemble place,
and then why is
including
this
me.
better religion?
And we were 2,000.
And then you say, well, if it was
And then
so perfect and all knowing,
we were there a few days.
he wouldn't have done
They
this.
put us 11 o'clock at night.
That he's really stupid.
They woke us up. They
And-
put us on the cattle train, 80, 100 people on the train,
have a need for
and we
help.
went.
Well,
We didn't know where.
Since
Me and my
people
brother.
were around, they would pray
And we
that
went
they
there,
were around.
maybe a day or two, I don't remember exactly. And we lined up, all of us on the train opened, Auschwitz. I don't have to tell you what went on there, you know.
Yes, you have to tell me.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So how was it in the train?
You know, we have no room to even to sit. You know,
You know,
we had both. My brother and I, we already prepared. We know that we're going to go somewhere, so we had a little food, the bread, there was, so we had something, but we had no water, nothing.
okay, so you remember the end?
When we came to Auschwitz,
Well, in the end, he found
it was
the historic
August
trail, which was,
the
like
20th, I don't know exactly.
And
And I went to Auschwitz, and all of a
God
sudden,
wanted him to reveal it to the
the
world.
doors open,
To kind of,
out, lights, dogs,
that everything
confusion.
But then he thought to himself,
And I remember
what good
when they say assemble, we assembled.
make a few
When I went back to the train, I wanted to take something. So I remember
people out there that truly
already a Häftling with the stripes.
and think about
He said
how much
to me,
good that the church
leave it alone, where you're going, you don't need nothing. But I didn't understand.
I mean, whether you
You understand? But later on,
serve a purpose.
we assembled,
Some people need it.
we assembled,
So when you arrived to Auschwitz,
yeah.
you had that striped uniform
No,
already?
no, no,
you
no,
didn't
no,
have
no.
it.
But
So we,
Something like that would reveal,
the people who emptied the train, who worked,
it was a lot like,
you understand? They had it already.
well, not the original, but
Although in Yiddish, he said to me,
in 1980,
die guys brauchst du gut nicht. I didn't understand.
The one on the Empire
Because
State Building?
then they pointed out, you see the chimney? So they assembled us.
original one. No,
We were only men that time, only men.
this was with Jessica Lange and
And all the men was from labor camps.
it's a good movie too.
And we assembled,
In it, so when they
and
go
then
to
a group of
and
assessment. I don't remember was Menengele,
Jeff Bridges,
but nice dressed, clean, with glasses, face.
he, you know, he sees with
And another one's
people on the
on the,
and they've never seen
put your hand
people
out. We stood there, 10 in a line.
and it's like
My brother and I was holding it. He said, put your hand out.
not to get
I put my hand out. So
if you take
from the farms,
rid of calm, if you
I was brown
it's like
and I had calluses. So he saw this. We were workers.
drunk within a month,
You step aside.
it'll destroy them.
So
Was their God,
there was one column
their life revolved
on the ones, all the people,
that, you know,
all younger people who they say there's no workers,
they have nothing.
and the other side.
So it was similar. It had nothing to do with
Them,
God.
they put on the truck.
But I just-
They went right in the gas chamber. I mean, this now I found out later.
The cleaning lady.
Me and my brother and the ones who work,
She's Haitian.
we had to hold like this. And we marched from,
No.
No?
now I know it's Birkenau.
Anyway, she's here. God
From
knows
Birkenau, we
where
marched
children are born here and everything.
to Auschwitz, to main camp Auschwitz.
She
No, but you
goes-
arrived in Auschwitz.
No, we arrived in Birkenau. Birkenau is Auschwitz too.
Whatever. And then we have a tenant which
You understand, the gas chambers, everything was in Birkenau.
she cleans his bathroom. She
So we walked. I don't know how many. You know, I was twice in Auschwitz now. March of the Living. I had speeches here.
says no.
I found my bed where I slept. Anyway.
She was Jewish. You know, she
So we went to Auschwitz, they marched, then they assembled Black Number 1. Have you been in Auschwitz? No. But you know Black Number 1? Yeah.
14 years
Black Number 1.
she can't speak.
They signed this.
She can't speak.
Oh no, first they put us in a place, we had to undress, they shaved
That's
us.
what I was going to ask you. Give me that
Undress.
detail, yeah.
We had to undress, they took away everything. The only thing they said, leave your glasses on your shoes.
Medical reason that
And they took everything away. We went through to shower, they shaved us,
concerned that she's
they
possessed
sprayed
with
us,
a weapon.
No, I don't know. I said,
took a shower,
you know,
and then we
she
went,
gets that-
I went there now
speaks
too.
that language.
We went out all the way,
So I guess
and they gave us uniforms, those uniforms. One is small, so we interchanged. And they put us in the backyard and we stood there overnight.
Sure, of course.
You know, understand? Then
maybe she couldn't afford.
they put us Black 1. Black 1. They put us in Black 1 and there was
Why is your child punished?
the Polish couples and German couples.
So she's,
Hell,
I found most people
they
that
beat
are
us.
very religious, like
Don't stay here, don't stay here.
or
Unbelievable. This went down for a few days.
witnesses.
With what did they
Yeah,
beat
it's
you?
happened in the
With
life.
sticks, with rubber, and unbelievable. Hell. Polish couples and German criminals. Hell for a few days.
And they get into going
Maybe we stood there 6 weeks,
and then
something like this for 6 weeks in this Black 1.
people, you get connected.
And we couldn't go out, you know.
To build that
And I
trust.
think they gave us only a soup and a little bread, that's all.
But then,
Then one day,
then they rely on it. It's like
one
a
day,
because it's like
They help each other out.
I mean like you've seen these movies or heard stories with the
one day, they assembled us in the courtyard.
where you know
And we had to stay five
if she leaves,
five
she loses everything.
in a row, 5.
You can't have like her
And
kids
there
stay
was
part of the community. It's the same.
a committee,
They
a few SS men, maybe it was the lager,
once they get you,
commandant
they
too,
got you.
and a few private people. But later on, after the war, I found out this was the Iki Farben.
But
You know, the Iki Farben, the ones
I've seen that. My
who manufactured oil and everything for the Germans army anyhow.
I'll tell you why.
And they picked people
I
out,
think they were either
and they checked again.
I know my uncle wasn't,
So
but
I was, and they picked and they separated me and my brother and I.
when she was young,
But somehow I squeezed in the line,
she was just a housewife.
and they picked me and my brother.
To her,
And they picked
hit her
280
abusive. I mean,
people,
believe me, that would
young
drive
people.
someone to, you know,
and they put us on trucks.
that basically
And the,
for some
maybe they brought us maybe 3 or 4 kilometers from Auschwitz.
I think it was
Main camp, and it was a coal mine, Janina. Everything is recorded, yeah.
and so
Janina.
you know,
And they put this in the coal mine. 280.
you know, I definitely don't think he was particularly
And we stood there the first night,
he likes his kids and all, but
and they had prepared kapos and all kind of stuff, you know. And they chased us around. In the morning we had to assemble and they tattooed us.
That's when they tattooed you.
Yeah.
What is your number?
141,305.
Finnef.
Yeah, my brother is 6.
Second generation from the Holocaust.
Now, listen, I have an article.
You know, he retired at 48, so he
I have an article. Somebody wrote a book, the guy who tattooed
constantly
from Australia.
those people.
I met people with this number. They tattooed us, and then the 200 280, and then they divided in three groups. And we went to the coal mine.
My husband has a tattoo himself.
One group, I was the first shift, from 6 o'clock till 3 o'clock. We had to get up 4 o'clock in the morning. We had to assemble on the counters. Sometimes we just took an hour or two and they assembled the harastos. And they gave us in the morning a coffee. And they gave us a quarter of a bread, maybe a half a pound or a quarter of a pound. And then I was in the first shift, and I worked from 6 to 3 o'clock. When they brought us, so we assembled and then we marched out with the dogs. Every 3 lines, I had an assessment with a dog, and we marched out. And then when we came to the coal mine, the Polish workers took over and they picked us to work. So I was picked from a Polish guy in the coal mine, and I went down to the coal mine. The coal mine was 1,000 meters. And he picked me. I went down, and we walked maybe a quarter of a mile underneath. And they're assigned for every Polak, the workers, they assigned a halfling. They assigned. So and they were professional coal miners, and we were to shovel the thing. And they assigned us. They assigned the Polish people piecework. They had to. There was marked how much coal they have to thing. And when they finished, they went home. So I worked. I was a youngster. He gave me. He had nothing to eat too. He had 2 slices of bread with a little soup. So many times he gave me a little piece, and I worked very hard. So we were finished. Instead of 3 o'clock, I was finished 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. He went home. He went home, and I was sitting because I was finished working. So many times I helped other people to think because they couldn't keep up. So one day a commission came down, and I was sitting. And the guy says, "Why is he sitting?" So the foreman from the coal mine who went in charge of me, he says, "Listen, this guy did his work. We need him for tomorrow. Because if you're going to go work again tomorrow, he cannot work." Do you understand? So on this went on for a few months. I worked in the morning. Now, after the shift was over, we went down, we went up, and we had to take a shower, cold, and then in the winter, they let us into the shower maybe 10 at a time. On here you have maybe 100 or 200 workers, so you had to stay assembled and cold, and that says harassed us. Hell.
How did they harass? What did they do?
They used to chase us. They used to beat us. They used to throw snow on us. Unbelievable.
Now, you were staying there and assembled in line. It was outdoors, right?
After the shower, we had to go outdoor to assemble to go home. When we came up from the coal mine, we went straight to the showers. 10 or 20 at a time. Then you take a shower, then you had to assemble, and then the other group went to take a shower. Or you had to wait till the column was filled out, and then we marched back to the camp.
Now the shower, was it hot or cold?
Cold. No.
And
cold.
you were waiting outside after a cold shower?
Yeah.
And it was winter and it was cold?
Cold, with the clothes was frozen, stiff. So we watched the clothes shouldn't break. If it break, it ripped. I mean, this was a fact.
Did you have at least towels to dry off?
No.
So can you explain to me how were you able to survive being in the cold in the winter after a cold shower?
Yes.
How is it possible?
Some people didn't survive. They came home, they took sick, pneumonia, and they died. Somehow, my brother and I
It's
think.
like everyone's these
So-
are all like laborers. So
Later on, we didn't go to the shower anymore. Later on,
Kind of work. Do the
they
toilet.
built the shower in the
what I'm
camp.
saying is there's enough
And
people.
we went back
here
to the
that
camp
can-
after the coal mine right away. And then
Definitely.
over there we took showers.
Then you know.
And then we
people
went
are
back to the
open
bunks.
door, you know,
It was
you just
easier.
gotta find that balance.
And then when we had to get the food, we had to assemble, then we were already washed.
Years to come here.
So it was a little bit easier.
Exactly.
You understand? And I worked there in the coal mine. And one day, where I lived, where I worked, the coal mine collapsed.
If you give them no other options,
And I broke my ribs on one side.
They should make the prisoners.
well, they do
They
something.
saved my life.
But
In this Yanina coal mine, they had a kitchen and they had infirmary.
I think it's good.
Infirmary, you know what infirmary, yeah? They call it a Krankenbau. And if somebody got a little bit hit from or damaged or a cold or what, he went there. And there was a doctor, Dr. Ehrlich,
And you don't have
and another doctor.
say you get a speeding ticket, right?
And they put you,
People driving
they treated you, and you were allowed to stay 3 weeks in the hospital.
they get their license.
After 3 weeks, because all of us were already professionals. They didn't want to lose us
Why not
because
give them the option?
we were already survivors.
Number one,
You understand?
speeding tickets, other kind of tickets.
And there was a time, this number, maybe 50 of us from the 280,
If you're making $1 million,
maybe 50 was survived. Maybe,
so,
maybe.
You know, but if maybe you should just pay $1.
So they brought me from the coal mine.
It's not that big of a deal.
They put me on a wood, piece of wood or what. They brought me to camp. They put
I
in.
would rather
in.
you
And
make them do
I went to
an
the
education
hospital.
course, but even better,
So let me stop something.
I'm like,
Let
I
me
would-
start.
instead of them having
When we
to
came
go
to
out,
Yanina
I'd
coal
rather
mine,
force them to do some community work.
my brother met a guy, a friend of his from before the war. He worked in the hospital.
My old plaza where I worked,
His name was Kotek,
a lot of these vagrants, people hanging
Kotek or
around,
something.
these were not
And
homeless.
he said,
They were
he
on
met him
Section
there.
1000. They
He
lived in
said,
those
my
houses,
brother said, can you do something, help me? He said, good. I'm going to give you
Most of them have mental issues, okay?
a soup
That's why
once
they
in a
were
while.
so- So these people ask you for
He
money.
gave us a
It's not
soup.
broke.
And
They
then
get
my
these
brother
little
asked him,
checks and stuff.
can you give me a little soap? Because the main thing is we needed soap. Because from the cold goes into the face and the finger. So he gave us some soap.
And how is that good for society?
Then this guy
Is-
said to the
so
brother,
they're hanging
do you want to
around,
have more soup?
but they're-
I tell you
they're
what,
pissing around in the streets.
after work,
They're
if you can
literally-
wash
They have no care.
the sheets from the hospital,
If you make them work to get their money, and obviously they can't go to
and you bring it back to the hospital,
but they
we're going to
shouldn't
give you
pick up
soap.
garbage around and stuff. Let
So
them check
this
the
went on
police, you know,
for a few
twice
weeks, a few
week,
months.
work, I don't know,
On
10 let there be
one
10
day,
hours, something, you know,
I brought the sheets wet, and they hung them up, and they gave me soup. So the doctor knew me already. You understand, knew me already. So when I arrived after I broke the rib, so they put me in tapes, and I stood there for 3 weeks. Now, if you didn't recover, they send you up to Auschwitz, to the gas chamber. Every week a truck came, and they took all the sick people who couldn't recover, or they put them in gas chamber.
Well, there's a few
So for 3 weeks I stood there, and at the time came I have to be released. You know, I had to be released. So the doctor said, and there was a German officer who took in charge of the of this Krankenbau. And he said, the doctor said, you know what, I can use a kid like this. I was at that time 15, 16. He said, I can use a kid like this because I'm supposed to go back to the coal mine. He said, I can use, he should work, clean the floor, on make the beds, help me. And we agreed, and I worked in the hospital. As I worked in the hospital, then I got to coal mine. Then I got to know the people from the kitchen, you understand? So we already networked. Then
That's how these companies work.
the guy, the assessment, who was in charge,
good that
they have
kind of come back.
out of the camp.
But I still
They
think
had a
that
building.
you shouldn't
He
judge
lived there,
based on that.
and he had 2 rooms,
But that's always been done.
and they had an infirmary for the SS. So he took me out many times from the camp,
Yeah, well,
from the camp
well, that's one of his faults.
to infirmary,
He was like that
and
from
there
the
always there was an SS guard sick or goofed off. So many times
I like to listen.
they were drunk, you know, after night, so they goofed off, so I went there. So many times
Well, who
they
do
sent
you
me,
usually
and I stood in line with the SS and the SS kitchen to bring a food.
I
They couldn't eat it,
depends on which
so I
of
took it
them.
to the camp,
But it's like
and
you
I
can
split it
see
with my
that
brother,
sometimes they'll put
and
on
I split it with my
camera
friends.
anti-Trump people.
On my network, and this way it was my luck.
They all
My
agree with
luck.
each other.
That I was
It's like a cult.
in the coal mine injured. Otherwise,
Yes, I'm bad.
and this went on
Like, it's ridiculous.
till
You know,
January the 17th, 1940s.
But MSNBC is even worse.
We already knew, yeah, and then I already knew about from the German,
Some of the stuff is just, it's,
in the camp.
watch this and they,
No German officers, only the Polish coppers and the German coppers took care. That, you know, Lager Elster, a copper, black copper,
joy in something.
you know the details what went on. So January the 17th, so we knew already a few days ago, we already knew from German, I brought the news from German soldiers that the Russians are near, not the Americans. That sooner or later the Russians going to come, then, and I brought us into the camp. So we knew a little bit. So my brother and I, we already prepared again with food, you know, sugar, and then on
Sure, but
the 17th, we assembled all the camp, from the camp. It was bitter cold, like now over there. On this, when the death march started,
you want him to go out to a different
and we
outfit
marched.
to make it more complicated? He's got his own thing, it's easier for
So when we assembled,
service to do that.
we are, the hospital and the kitchen was on the back, on the end. Then the Lagerführer came over, and he says, I remember he says to Dr. Eulich, he survived. As a matter of fact, he testified in Nuremberg too. And he says, why don't you stay with the sick?
So he's golfing on his own
But
court.
he said, no, because we thought when we leave, they're going to kill us. In the meantime, 10 days later, they were liberated from the Russians.
Right now, I think they just.
So anyhow,
So
we
he wanted that the doctor should stay there with the sick.
with the sick, and me too. But the doctor said no, because he was afraid when they leave, the SS is going to clean out all the people.
People are meeting him there.
This what happened, you know.
And this doctor was Jewish.
Yeah, Jewish, a Czecho Jewish. He survived. So we marched. This was the death march.
But if you think about it,
So anyway, listen to me now. This is records.
all these celebrities, it's like,
I don't want to tell you what went on in that march thing.
like
Why not?
Listen, I just want to. We left 200. We left 850 people
so how
from the Janina Grube. This thing.
telling you this
We marched to Gross Rosen.
of his time,
In 18 days,
you can't
only 200 survived.
spends like on things
These are records.
much more than Obama did.
Show you on the computer.
It's pretty obvious.
A matter of fact, on the way,
That's one of the positives,
you couldn't walk.
because he's kind of a workaholic. I mean, he.
Yeah, this we know.
They killed us.
I mean, it's like
Say it again. I need you to spell it out.
Yeah.
On the way.
Whoever couldn't walk, whoever went in the back, they had the details, the Germans, on the show them on the road. I remember there was a Polish guy from a Polish,
I'm like, I would.
a blonde guy, nice guy. He worked with us in Columbine. He couldn't walk anymore. He sat down on a rock
Basically sitting in lecture.
and he made a cross. He said, "Please finish me off." And I saw.
Exhausting. You know, and then being on.
Now, when I worked, and when I worked in the Krankenbau, and I walked out from the camp, from the window, I saw
People were against it.
when they trained the German soldiers, the guard. And there was one officer, a German officer, nice young guy
I bet he was
with boots on. He trained the thing.
He was part of
This guy, he was in charge on the march, on the death march.
But I don't think he was really a fan of Trump.
So once
And I think he was one of the big leaders.
we went, and one day as we marched,
It's like anyone
and we came to in the forest to a railroad station, and all of a sudden, this was all records. Listen to me. On me, on the doctor, on another guys, we went a little bit behind on the march.
He's a great guy.
On as and one assessment,
I honestly think
we knew him.
that all this
On the doctor said to the assessment, "Listen to me."
and-
He said,
and it's
"We already hear the Russians.
fun jabbing. It's kind of like
Let's
Friends.
go
Like, it seemed like,
run away for the
maybe
woods."
not your generation, but
And we tell the Russians that you saved us and you're saving us.
what they're doing.
This particular moment, the guy was ready to go. We had shooting.
Did you hear what happened in Hawaii?
Shooting. What happened? The partisan
And here's the thing about
stopped the transport because we were in the back, and there were shooting over there in the woods, and a lot of people got killed. And all of a sudden,
time that happened.
this guy,
And now,
the officer,
Changed ship, but
when
they-
I
they
trained
caught another
the
guy, I heard.
yeah, but
trained the guys.
he's like liberal leaning.
As a matter of fact, I tell you what, I was on the trial. I was in Germany, a witness.
Or check his Facebook
He
account, see-
God gathered all of us
He also
from the Yanina,
talked about it, that-
put us on the little hill,
that what was put
and they put up machine guns, and he says, "Kill everybody,
purposely
kill him,"
to stop
because there was shooting.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
After
I'm sure it was.
the Aufstand, you know,
Had the system
after the
in effect for
partisan,
how long?
they liberated quite a few.
I mean, like I said,
And
the same
the doctor,
It's like, what's
another guy went to him. He said, "Listen, if you're going to kill us, you know the war is over. They're going to kill you too."
Never.
Yeah, I don't know why he
Somehow,
didn't say anything.
I'm
He didn't.
surprised.
then we
because, you know,
continue
he always-
on the march, and we marched
Right?
Yeah, that.
till Gross to another camp.
You know, like everyone relaxed, so, you know.
At this time, you were still with your brother?
Till with my brother. Yeah, till my brother. And we arrived to Grossrosen.
Who knows? Maybe someone's.
On the Grossrosen, we went a few days.
I don't know.
no
And
few
he-
days.
he would listen?
There were two camps, two camps, a new camp and old camp. We were in the new camp.
Before they used to mix in, but
It
now-
was already in March.
Then the news people would just get.
The
on
snow
case
started
about
melting,
that. You know,
terrible.
so they probably just figured it's
They
better
assigned me
Be quiet.
to
You
carry
should
the
be
dead
quiet, too. You would be
to the
better off.
to the ovens.
Now I'm gonna show you my.
So I put in, I looked for the pockets. Sometimes I found a little bit bread or a kruskalo. And we stood there a few days, and they put us on the train,
Lift it, your feet up.
and we lined up in Flossenburg. Flossenburg, I had a Flossenburg. I went there in Flossenburg, and we were in the quarantine.
I think it's.
And again, harassment from the Polish couples and the German couples, unbelievable.
Describe.
In the morning they used to come up,
Oh, can I use your bathroom?
get up, yelled and hit us with the head and everything. We used to assemble in the cold, and we have to stay, and they were counting us. So before they were counting us, we have to stay for an hour or an hour and a half, rain. And some people just collapsed. Luckily, I was young, luckily. And whoever collapsed, they hit him. They put a foot on their throat, you know, unbelievable. So we stood there.
And you actually saw that, them hitting people?
Yeah, sure.
And shooting people?
Shooting, yeah, I saw
And
it.
stepping on
Oh,
someone's
yeah,
throat?
stepping down, yeah.
What went through your mind then?
Nothing. My mind was blank. I just watched myself. I shouldn't get hurt. Follow orders. I shouldn't get hurt. And do the best to survive every day. Otherwise, I didn't think about it. And we stood there a few weeks. So they picked me, and they sent us to another camp, a few of them, I don't know, maybe 100. And there were, the Americans bombed a railway station. I don't remember the name, Amberg or Bamberg. I don't remember, because we stood there to clean the trains, to clean. And I found that time a piece from a pig, piece of skin. And I put it in my mouth, and I had it there for days and chewed this. I wouldn't give this away for nobody. Then at night, they put us in a stadium. And they gave us every halfling a step with a little straw, and we slept there. In the morning, we had a little coffee on a piece of bread. We had to go then to the station to clean. So I found a place, a bumped wagon where they had canned meat, and I saw this. But I didn't tell nobody. And this was already green.
Oh, this has to come out?
So I took the can, put my hand in the middle, and I took out the middle.
You're right.
And I ate. And then some of them I put in, and I squeezed the juice out. I don't know how I survived. And I put it in my
This
pocket.
was made up special.
Yeah, but the way they made
You
it.
know how many years?
I know.
From there we were
The
finished,
way they made things, even then.
and there were again
This is
only
the arch, it's
Polish and
flat,
German
isn't it?
couples used to take care of us.
So where's the support? They would tend to undercorrect things.
In the morning, we always, when we got up, we had a barrel
Try it.
to go to relieve ourselves.
Can't hurt.
So if somebody didn't make it in this, they killed him. I saw hang him by the
They're
hand.
good, huh?
I saw one. I saw him after the war. I found
You just
him.
gotta kind of lift it
He
up.
did it, a Polish guy. And the
Wait,
second,
explain to me first. When somebody did something wrong, like didn't make it to the bathroom on time,
yeah,
It's fine.
they hung him.
Doesn't hurt.
they hung him or they killed him. They hung him. The one guy.
You saw it. And you witnessed it.
I didn't witness that. I witnessed already the dead body here hung with his hand like this. Yeah. Then the people who died at night for hunger, then
That's right.
they put them in the latrine. And when I had to relieve, I went there. I saw people. I saw young people. The eyes were open.
Well, I mean, probably the laces.
When I know from the hospital, in order to find out, when I worked, if somebody is still alive, to close his eyes. If you open the eyes, and I saw one young guy, the eyes open. I closed the eye, open the young eye. Never forget in my life, never. This guy is in my mind forever.
Any difference in feeling?
I can prescribe for unbelievable anyhow.
I mean, right now, like I
From
said,
there,
always.
they sent us back to this was already in April, middle of April, 1945.
Not walking barefoot either.
No,
Then they separated me with my brother.
And,
That time, they separated with my brothers and somewhere else.
I'll check back, okay?
So this was in April, maybe the 19th to 20th. Yeah,
Doctor's ready for you.
Okay, so we'll take a break. Okay, we'll continue.
this is very important what I
Yeah,
tell
yeah,
you.
everything is
Now,
important.
Now, when I arrived in Auschwitz,
We're now going back. So you reminded
yeah.
somebody we're going
I
back.
remind
Okay.
myself in Auschwitz when already I was on Black One before I went to the coal mine. So they lined us up on to get a shave, and I didn't want to. So we stood in the line on ice. My brother is 6 years older, so I was afraid they're going to separate me. So I stood there with him. I didn't need a shave, but I stood there. A Polish couple comes over to me. He says, "Where are you standing in line?" His name was Siegmund. I know him. I said, I want to take a shave. He said, "Shave, come, I'm going to give you a shave." He took me out. This was in the attic, and the Block One, in the corner, and he gave me a beating. I almost passed away. This was my welcome in Auschwitz. Now, another thing. After my accident in coal mine, when I worked in the hospital, I worked for a few months in the hospital. All of a sudden, Lagerführer Baumgarten, Fritz Baumgarten, came and took me in a room, and they put me on a chair, and they tied my hand on. And there was one guy, an assessment, a soldier with a whip, and they whipped me 25 times or more. This I almost passed out. And he said to me, you have to tell me, all right, let me stop in a moment. When I worked outside the camp for this guy, for the assessment who took care in the hospital, he was the same rank than the Hauptscharführer, Unterscharführer, I don't know, than the Lagerführer. They had a dispute. He brought me once red lead paint, and I painted the floor. You know? Now, they had a dispute, the Lagerführer with him. And the Lagerführer accused him, I don't know, for sabotage or something, and that he stole the red paint. This was red paint, you know, from coal mine, for rust, you know, rust. So they had a dispute, I don't know, a court-martial, and he needed a witness. So he asked me where I get the red paint. So he whipped me, and I said, I don't know. I really didn't know. So he gave me 25 lashes, and then he said, you don't go no more to the hospital, you go down to the coal mine. And they sent me to the coal mine again, and I worked night shift in the water, night shift. Terrible. Then one day, and I worked maybe a few months already in the coal mine, and one day, on at night, in the morning after the shift, I went to the hospital, and the doctor gave me a little bread or soup. And one day I come and he said, Ziggy, I have news for you, you don't go back to the coal mine. This Baumgarten, the Lagerführer, was transferred to another place. We have a new Lagerführer on Ludwig. This guy who was in charge, his name is Ludwig. I just remind myself, I tell you why, when I was in court in Germany, he said, and I requested for him to give me permission to take out from the coal mine. He took me out, and I went there back again. Now, this Baumgarten, after I got the lashes, once he came into the hospital, he took me out, and they always worked to build new barracks. And there was mountains of dirt or rocks. He put me in there. He took me into the rocks, and he took out the pistol, and he said, if you don't tell me where you got the red paint, I'm going to kill you. I remember I cried, and then he let me go. He let me go, but many times on the appel, where we lined up, he took me out and he slapped me. So anyhow, he was transferred. Then I went back, and I went back to the court. This is incidents. Yeah. I remind myself, then in Flossenburg I had another incident. So a lot of things come back to me, but if I think I have the names in the story. Now, before we continue, I told you this assessment who killed all the people when we work on the coal mine, and the march. 1993, I got a telephone call from the German consul in Germany, in New York, and he asked me to come up. He wants to interview me. I don't know from nothing. Since then, I never thought about. Before I never thought about I call up, I sat down and he said, I'm going to give you a little liquor. Don't get excited. He takes out a book. He told me stories about me that I didn't remember. You work in the coal mine, you work in the hospital, you work this. I say, yes. Do you know Ludwig? I said, who's Ludwig? He said, this is the guy. He said, listen, I told you about the doctor Orlik. He was a Czech Jew. After the war, he found out about this guy who killed, when we went on the death march on the end, he used to kill, put up the machine guns on the Czech government, somehow influenced the German government in Mannheim, and they had a trial. And they got the guy, he was sentenced, but after a while, on appeal, they let him out. So this Dr. Orlik went again to the Czech government. He had some influence after the war, in the 90s or the 80s, and they had a new trial. So then they needed new witnesses. So somehow they got hold of me. So when they called me up and he told me, I said, you know him, and I told him all the story, the death march. He said, listen, he says, I want you to go to Germany on the trial. And you have to testify, and you're going to have to recognize the guy. And I said to the council, and then he called up my brother too. And he said, we have to go to Germany. My brother didn't want to go. And he said, you are obligated to go to Germany and testify, to recognize the guy. I say, when I step down German soil, I promise never to go to Europe. Anyhow, he said, but you are obligated to go. I give you Lufthansa, first class with your wife. I put you up in a hotel, go to Germany. So I went. No. I said, no, I'm not going. He said, if not going, then we're going to have a trial here in New York. So they had a trial in New York at 56 in Park Avenue. I went there and I took my son to witness. And they had a preliminary trial, reporters, everything, to testify at the death march, the killing and everything. I remember more. After this, he said, this is not enough, you have to go to Germany. So anyhow, I agreed. I came to Germany with my wife, I put it up. Next morning, I took a taxi, I went to court, the 3 Georges, the press, and I'm sitting there. They gave me an interpreter. As I walk in, a lawyer comes in with a man. And the man looked like me now, old man. He was maybe 80 already. He sticks out his hand. It was the guy. I said, oh no, it was the guy. But I didn't recognize him. But the lawyer said, his lawyer said, this is him. I said, no. So anyhow, I went on the stand and they gave me stories, and then they showed me pictures, and I recognized him on the pictures. And then he stand up. Do you recognize him? I didn't recognize him. He was old that time when I saw him. He was a young guy, maybe in the early 30s. Now he's maybe 75 or something. So what do you do? I said, tell me, do you recognize him? I couldn't live with him. I said, no. I wouldn't live. I don't care, he's a murderer. I know he was, but I was not brought up. I said, somebody else going to get him. And we came home, my wife and I, and then I got a call, and they said, do you want to stay? Maybe you want to go to Poland, or to Warsaw, we're going to give you a ticket. I said, no. I want to go home. I went home right away. So this affects, this is nothing, yeah. So my son was there, yeah. I tell you stories, unbelievable. Now, okay, now I can continue. You edit this, yeah. I remember the names and everything. Now,
But when you identified the person on the picture,
yeah.
because that picture you were able to identify
Yeah.
because you remember his
Remember,
face from
yeah,
then.
yeah.
So that wasn't good enough for them to know that this is this person?
No, they wanted because this was appeal, because he denied. He was already in jail, but he appealed. They were, I don't know where they got my name, maybe from another witness from a camp. My name, because they knew me, because I was in the hospital, you see, so a lot of people, I tell you stories in the hospital, listen. And so I couldn't live with it. I couldn't. I recognized him, handsome, nice guy. They had pictures. You see, they had pictures when he was young. He took it away. But then he was a little old man, you know, crooked. So I'm not sure. Maybe it was not him. He denied. And then I got the letter from the German consul, or I'd be willing in case. I said, no, then. And then I got an article in the New York Times. The Germans spent 18 million euro to prosecute him. The whole system. Maybe 1,800,000 or something. And then I never heard of it. So I remind myself stories. This is recorded. This is not true. Yeah. But when I was called up on the council, and he opened the book, we read the book, and he said, Siegmund Listwa, Listwa. He knew all the dates. And do you know, an officer Ludwig, and then hit me. Another thing. This Ludwig, he was at the same rank than the Lagerführer. He had Unterschachführer, Oberschachführer, I don't know what does it mean, maybe colonel or what. He took his wife, he came from Leipzig, and they took a villa near Auschwitz. And one day, and he was a manipulator, he stores things. One day he had a valise, I don't know for what. And he said, he called me, he brought me from the camp, and he said, you go with me to carry the valise. And we went, I carried it to his house. A few miles, I don't know, I come into the house. His wife gave him supper, chicken soup and chicken, and I sat there with him and they gave me soup. Never forget this.
So at that time you had a good meal?
Yeah, at that time I had a good meal. Yeah. I had to show you incidents, unbelievable. So you want to continue now what goes on in that march. You see, it's pieces, you see, as I talk, I remind myself. This why I say, if I have a profession, they can get out of it. So we stopped in Flossenburg. Now, this station where they were bumped, they brought us back to Flossenburg. And this was maybe the 19th or 18th of February 1945. One Sunday, one morning, they gave orders, all the Jews have to assemble. All the Jews from Flossenburg. Now I found out my son researched it, it's true, everything they did. We assembled all the Jews, they put us in the train. We walked to Flossenburg and train, they put us on the train. And this was maybe the 19th or something, he went on the train. I don't know how long, maybe a day, maybe half a day. On that time, the trains were cattle train. You know, cattle train, there's a door open here, on a door in the back. You picture? Now on every train, there were 3 or 2 assessmen sitting there. It was a nice spring day with the legs down, and they were sitting there. And I was sitting with 3 my friend, Mamlok, I tell you about him, another guy on the other door. So we can see out of the door. And this Mamlok, give me a moment. This Mamlok, we were in Auschwitz all together. I said, oh, we're going to be liberated. And we sit there, and all of a sudden, I see 3 planes with a red nose. I saw the museum now. I have pictures. One went straight to my train. One peeled off to the locomotive, and one to the end, to the brake train. And as we saw, these German soldiers jumped out. On the other trains, wagon the same thing. It was American planes that drive the train. The Germans jumped, and I jumped too. I jumped. And I remember as I jumped, I fell on mountains of gravels and bullets. But my face was in the gravels, but my hand all bleeding from the ricocheting from the rocks. And
So what happened? They sent a bomb to the train.
Strife machine guns, 30, 20, 50 caliber bullets, and they killed hundreds of us. And then Germans too, chaos.
So the Germans that you said by the door, they jumped out.
They jumped out, and there were the train, so everyone jumped. So they thought it was a German train. And I jumped out, this. And I jumped out with another guy, but we had Mamlok and another guy and me. Mamlok didn't jump. The other guy jumped. And so we said no, and then we ran up the hill, and we saw a house. The Germans ran away, and we went into the house. And the house in the backyard, it was like a cellar. A cellar, how you call it? You know?
Cellar.
A cellar. And you know, hunger takes you over. We sat there quiet, and I said, we have to eat, we have to do something. So I said to the other guy, I'm going to go into the farmer. And I go into the farmer, open the door. 12 German soldiers. And they're cooking potatoes. I open the door, one soldier comes to me, what are you doing here? This was not an SS. This was soldiers. They already know the war was over. I said, get out of here, get out of here. Go back. So they gave me potato and something. And I ran away, and where am I going to go? So this was already a few hours. And this was February 20th or the 19th or something. So I had, where am I going to go? So I went back to the train. Now I found out whoever went back, they killed him. Somehow when I went back, they took away my, I had some vegetables or what, and they put me back to the train. I come back to the train. Mamlok was sitting there, my friend. I say every Yom Kippur, when we say he's scared, I say Kaddish for him, because nobody knows about him. But I tell you now what I found out. I say his hand hanged, and where I was sitting there, holes that would be cut in half if I would sit. But I jumped, and I took him my hand, and his lips, I never forget this, went blue. I had a piece of bread. I put it in his mouth. I thought this was going to help him when he died on my hand. In a matter of fact, I saw an SS man who ran to help the SS with a Red Cross. And I was so stupid, and I asked him, My friend is dying, bleeding. He said, take the belt and put it in an arm. So I met after the war, a few days, I saw him in a camp, this German. I gave him some water. He wanted some water. Give me a moment. So, Mamluk died on my hand. Then I saw people stole shoes, food. I saw one assessment took a Häftling, put him against the trucks. He made him knees. He put a bullet in his head, and they killed him. And this went on a whole day. Then they gathered us again. We stood on the train, but the train didn't move. So we had to, the leftovers, we had to march. We had to march. They assembled us. We had to march. This is a famous train in history, you know. And we had to march. And it was just that time, spring, it was rain in the woods. Whoever could march, they killed. And we marched maybe for 3 days, the killing. And one night we slept in the park, naked. The guy next to me is dead. I took off his clothes because I needed it. Then this was maybe the 20th or the 21st or the 23rd. Then we marched again, and they put us, we all left, maybe 50 of us. And they put us in a barn. They put us in a barn, and they closed the barn, and I went in the barn on the attic, and I saw in the morning a sparrow. You know what a sparrow? But with a plank, a little bit space. And I saw, and I hear noises, and I see a white star in a tank. And I start yelling. The Russians are here. All of a sudden the doors opened. Everybody ran away. The SS ran away. And we ran out. We ran out on the road. And this was in Neuburg-Vorwald. It's in history. Now I tell you, now there's more people who testify about it. Went out on the road. There were trucks, American trucks. I didn't know. Never saw American. I thought that this only the Russians have a star, but the American had a white star. On there were colored soldiers. They threw out a few boxes of meat or what to us, and then they say, stay away, because they have to move. Now the other Holocaust comes into place. I was in 2 Holocausts. Now hunger takes you over, yeah? So the first thing I went into a farmer, and I said, give me some food. So they gave me some eggs, and I ate this. I don't know what they gave me, and I ate this. And there was a farmer with a daughter, and they saw me, what are they going to do with me? Dirty, you know. Then, so she took me in to the hospital, to the city hospital there. And I remember they put me in a bathtub. And they washed me. I'm emotional. And I saw the nuns. like angels. And they washed me. They put me in a white sheet. In a white sheet, this was April the 23rd. Give me a moment. They put me in a white sheet, and they took me, the nuns, upstairs on the ward. This was in the afternoon, late afternoon. I took a look, and maybe they gave me some food or what, and I fell asleep. I get up in the morning, I take a look. German soldiers, wounded German soldiers. I see couples from my camp. I said, my God, I'm still back in the lager. I said, what's going on? I said, I don't want to stay here. I go to the window, and I look in the window, and I see American soldiers walking. This was the second floor. I jumped down to the Americans. And I had some clothes, I don't know how, pants or what. And I remember they gave me a chocolate and they gave me a cigarette. The smell I never forget from this cigarette. What can they do with me? What I can do now? And I don't want to go back to the hospital. I said, I'm getting camp. I went back to the farmer. As I go back to the farmer, I took sick and I got the diarrhea. So this girl, the farmer's girl, says, I take you back to the hospital. I said, no. You put me up here, and they put me up on the attic, the straw. And I must have laid there for a week, and they gave me toast and some maybe farina, and I recovered. And then when I recovered, this was April the 24th.
Just a second, let me change the card.
Yeah. I went back to with my brother to the barn. To the barn. I went back, but I never went back to the train station. But now.
So when you were now here in the barn and in the hospital, you were the only one from the whole train, or you had with you anybody else?
No, the train.
As you ran out, you went away from the train. After you saw your friend got killed. He died in your hands.
Yes.
And you went and the daughter took you to.
No. Then they put it in the barn. We went.
Right.
We still had a march, a few days.
Oh, right. Okay.
A few days, and then in the barn, when they opened the door and I was free, then I didn't know where the other people. I was only myself. My hunger took over, and I went in the first thing.
So you were by yourself?
By yourself, all by yourself, yeah, by myself. So anyhow, and then when I recovered, I went back to the farmer, and the daughter took care. I remember she took me some toast. Then I went down on the street to the town, and this was maybe a week later, and already they had the kitchen soaps, the Germans, and then I saw people walking, like me, survivors, walking, looking, and then around this town there were farms, and the Germans got Polish slaves, if you know, they assigned them to the farmers, so they were liberated too. Do you understand? And they walked around too. And I walked and I said, where do you come from? Where do you come from? Everybody was for himself, listen to me. Finally, there was nobody took care. I mean, nobody. I met a Polish guy, a Polak. He worked on a farm, and he ran away from the farm already. When we were liberated, he was looking like me to go home, but there was nobody to take care. So he came from a next town where I was born, and I told him I want to go home. So I said, listen, let's go home, both of us. So we went to the Americans. Already there was an office because there were roadblocks. And they gave us a permission to cross the roadblocks. You understand? And with this, he said, how are we going to go home? So he took me to the farmer where he was there, you know? And we stood there a few days. And then he said, let's go. We're going to go home to Poland. We walked out on the street and we saw two German soldiers with two bikes going home from the war. And we stopped them and said politely, get off the bike. We took the bikes. And we asked some Germans where is the next railroad station. And they said the railroad station was near the German border, Czech border. He said that it's across the German border. There's a station, and there's a train, and they're going to take you to the train goes to Prague, from there. So we pedaled to the mountains, and maybe 3, 4, 5 days. We had the piece of paper, the checkpoints, and they let us through. And finally we arrived, both of us, to Prague. We stood in Prague. I went to the Red Cross. I needed food, and I stayed in line. On the way, the Germans, I took their clothes, and I took all the sickness out, and I put it on, because I had no clothes. When I took the bike, I had no clothes.
So what did you take?
The uniforms, the thing, and I took everything off because I need clothes, and the Polak, the same thing. And we stood in line in the Red Cross in Prague, and there two Prague police came over. They were not police, they were white bands, they were the militia Czechs, and they took me out from the line. He said, who are you? I said, I'm a Polak. And they gave me a beating, unbelievable. They thought I'm a German. I started to cry, I'm a Polish Jew, you see my number? Then they didn't know what happened. They didn't know what happened. They gave me some sandwiches, and then they took me to an office and they gave me some money, and they say, you wait here, in a few days there'll be a train, it goes to Poland, every week or something. So we waited, and the train arrived. The train arrived. I wanted to go on the train. In the meantime, on the train, I see young Jewish people in the 20s and the 30s, nice dress, clean, because they were liberated, or they come from Russia, from Siberia. They were liberated in 44, and they came down off the train. And one couple says, where are you going? I said, I'm going back to Poland. Gar nicht, met de Gargenen. I gave the Polak this paper. He went on the train. And I went with them. And I didn't go back to Poland. I went on the train, and then we went to the city. And they went their way. And I had the bike because I want to take the bike to Poland. And I biked, and I figured now I'm going to backtrack. Now comes very interested. Is my voice good? I'm going to backtrack. And then when I was liberated, maybe the committee's there on this, and I drove, and I come to the border, to Czech border, on Germany, on that American, Russian, how you call it, black, checkpoint. I come over there, I said, who are you? Where are you going? I said, I'm a German Jew, and I'm coming from concentration camp. I want to go back my home. So they let me through. Then I biked again. I biked maybe 2 days. I slept in the barns, and I come to a place, Grafenau, a city, Grafenau. And I met a farmer, and I said, listen, are there any Jews here? They say yes. In his school, no, there's some Jews. But there were Jews in before the war. So where do they live? He said, I don't know. Ask the police. So I found a policeman, a German policeman. I said, is there any Jews living? He said, yeah. There are 5 girls in the school. There were 5 concentration girls. They were liberated. Now, one is my sister-in-law now. She passed away now. 5 German Jews who they were liberated from the Americans, and they didn't know what to do. They put them into school. So I went over there. I knock on the door. A girl comes, open the door. My sister-in-law now, she passed away last year. Young girl, 20 years old. Opened the door, and she slaps the door. I said, why? Get out of here. Because I was the German uniform, and I was already brown. I said, my Yiddish boy, listen to me. And she stopped crying. He took me. When she stopped crying, I remember the meal she gave me. He said, you stay with us. You stay with us, and we see what, a few days after the war. Nobody took care of us. But we took care, and we went to the American had already not a government, an office where they took over from the Germans to run the city. We went over there, and they said, okay, we're going to put you up to 4 girls, 5 girls, Hungarian girls. On you, we're going to put you up in a villa. They threw out a German Nazi, and we stood in a villa. And you're going to be, you're going to be under our control. No German going to have any rights to you. And we're going to give you, because everything stamps, the city going to have to give you money, and we're going to give you, they're going to have to give you 3 rations instead of 1. And we stood there and waited for a few weeks. For a few weeks, we stood there, isolated. We didn't know from nothing. Anyhow, I had the bike, and my bike broke down. So the Americans took over anybody who had a motorcycle or a car had to surrender to the Americans. And I went to the American authority and I said, listen, I had a brother, and I have a feeling that my brother was liberated there too, somewhere, because all the villages, because they were liberated from the Americans, and everything is. He took me in, and I found a bike with a motor, a bike, and I took a chance and it worked. And I took the bike. Took it home. I got some gasoline from the Germans. And I said, I'm going to look for my brother. They said, it's true. And I went to another village, another town with a bike. And I see, you're the Jewish fellas doing it. And I met them, where you were in Lager. And anyhow, I met somebody, I was in Poking. You heard about Poking or what? Ganaka. I know somebody. And he is there and there. So I went over there. And then I found out somebody who knew my brother. He was liberated in Kanaka, in Poking. They were in airport. They took me out from Flossenburg. The Jews, they took him out to the woods there. And they were finishing off. But my brother, with 2 guys, escaped. And then they were liberated from the Americans in Straubing. You heard of Straubing? No, in Straubing. So he was liberated from Straubing. No food, nothing. So they took him into the kitchen, and he worked in the kitchen to get food. Another few Jewish fellas. And this guy who met me, met him. So he said, well, I'm going to see your brother. I'm going to tell him where he was. Finish. I come home, and one day I'm sitting in this villa with a nice day with the girls, and there was an American Jewish soldier too, and all of a sudden the car pull in, and my brother walks out. I got a nervous breakdown almost. And my brother said, come, you come with me. I have pictures now. Too. You come with me, we go to Straubing. I work with Americans. We're going to get food, we're going to get shelter, and we're going to see. And he took me to over there, Straubing. We had a room on daytime. We went to the Americans, and we hung around in the kitchen. We helped them, and they gave us food, they gave us a pack of cigarettes, they gave us the uniform, American uniform. And we stood there for a few weeks. We didn't know what to do. Then I said to my brother, you know what? Let's visit the girls. Let's go for the girls. And we both went to the girls. When we got to the girls, and the 5 girls took us in, and they said, please, to my brother, stay there too. And we stood there. We didn't know what to do. The lineup was my brother, they fell in love with one girl, Viola. She comes from Hausemay, from Hungary. They got married in 46. Now 46, we lived there. We still didn't know what to do. And then they got orders to get all the people who were liberated. They created TP camps. The American committee, the American authority called me, my brother, and my 5 girls down to the office. They said, listen, you have to go to the camp, to the DP camp. I started to cry. I said, the camp? I said, no, I'm not going to the camp. And his name was Major McCarthy. He says, listen, okay, you stay in the villa. We're going to take care of you. We're going to register in the camp as a displaced person. And you're going to stay there in this villa. And they took the names on the history from us. On my sister-in-law, she was not yet married, had an uncle, David Friedman in New York. And she says, I remember as a kid that I have an uncle. And she remembered the name. And so the officer said, listen, okay, go home, we're going to find out. And don't you think in another few weeks we got a call, and they got the address from the uncle, her uncle. She got in contact with her uncle, and the uncle said, okay, I'm going to make your papers to come out to Israel, to United States. In the meantime, she said, I have a boyfriend, I'm engaged, I want to get married. So he said, okay, get married. I'm going to take out your husband too. Now, this already went into 1948. And then my sister-in-law said, no, I'm not living with my brother-in-law. And she sent a letter to this guy, Friedman, and he made me the papers. I still have the copies. In 1949, I came to the United States. In the United States, I didn't have it easy too. Listen to me. I arrived June 17, on a boat, General Ballot. I went off the boat, and there were Red Cross, Hayas, everything. I say, I don't want to have nothing, I want to do myself. But my sister-in-law had already a brother. They took him out 1946. He waited for me. So he took me in to his uncle. When I went to the uncle wasn't there, he was in Florida. So I stood overnight there. And I didn't want to bother the uncle anymore because he said, guarantee me a job, everything. I had a telephone number from a girl, a Jewish girl, who came to the United States in 1948. And I called her up, and she met me. She took me to the Hayas. I had to make papers, Social Security, everything. And then she took me up to hiring hall, a butcher hiring hall, where they hire people to work in the union. And I got a job as a helper in a Bush factory. And I took it as a helper, and it wasn't so easy. Then when I got so fed, I was drafted, I was in the army too. I was a year here. I got a letter from the government, from the selective service, and I had to, May 1951, I was drafted, I had to go to the army. And then I didn't have it so easy in the United States. But thank God, 2 daughters, lawyers, a son in business, he retired, my son, yeah. My daughter, my youngest daughter, she is Shomer Shabbos, she is Shomer Shabbos. She is a top lawyer in New York, 4 children, all went to yeshiva. Now 1 daughter in Israel, 1 was already came back from Israel. My son, what do you know? His daughter finished as a dentist, doctor. The son is in Yale as a lawyer. He told you, Mister, yeah, as a lawyer. My other daughter is a lawyer. She has 3 children. 1 is teacher. She went to Hofstra. When she married a guy, he's a lawyer. He has his own firm, Kanainahoro. His children well off. I have 10 grandchildren. I live in Connecticut. Anyway, I worked in the butchery for 12 years on a very tough job, and I realized I had a dead end. So I had a friend of mine, he had a cab. He said, Ziggy, buy yourself a cab. So somehow I scraped a few dollars and I bought the cab in 1962. I bought a medallion and I worked, and this was my second liberation. I worked 6 days, 18 hours. My younger daughter, who was a lawyer, who was Shomer Shabbos, I said, you don't gonna go to public school. She went to yeshiva when she was 2.5 years. She went to all yeshivas, high school yeshiva, everything, and then she went to law school to Penn. And the kids are all yeshivas. I work Saturdays. The reason I work, because I said, I am elected selected to live, but to have a new generation. And I said, what is to me more important? I'm telling you the truth. To work on Saturday, and my kids should have nothing. I said, I give my kids, I let them be their Jews. Now my daughter makes sure that their kids, they go to yeshiva, they Shomer Shabbos. So I don't feel guilty, I'm telling you, because I choose. So I tell you an incident. When my daughter went to high school, Yeshiva High School in Flatbush. Do you know Yeshiva High School in Flatbush? She went to Yeshiva High School in Flatbush. She was one of the best students. So the teachers make sure that the parents, Shomer Shabbos, I had the kosher, I had the soup, but I had already the cab. And I worked Saturday because I needed the money to pay to the yeshiva. And she said, Daddy, you're not supposed to work Shabbos. So I went over to the teacher. I said, listen to me. Tell me, what is more important? I take her out or I worked? And she kept quiet. I'm telling you the truth. So what is your opinion? You see? I had to choose. You think it hurts me? But look what I have. Listen, you see this? Echo, you know what the echo is? You know?
The picture album, right?
No, if I call my daughter, I can see her and we talk. And I see all my children and my daughter. Every Shabbos, After Shabbos, she calls me, we talk. Otherwise, I wouldn't have this. She has a child, a boy. He is now 18, 19, I don't know. He davened. He read the Torah. So, what is more important? Otherwise, I wouldn't
Where
have
they
it.
live?
In New Rochelle. New Rochelle.
Wait, so when did you meet your wife and when did you get married?
After I was discharged in the army, I used to meet a few guys, like 3 or 4 guys, the same situation than me. No parents, nothing, you know. Came to the United States, and somehow we went. There was all the greener, the colors greener, the colors. What I went through here, you have no idea. The colors greener. So we went on the beach in Brighton Beach. You heard of Brighton Beach? Brighton Beach 6. All the greener came together. The children, girls and boys. We used to go there Sunday to the beach to meet girls and boys, because American girls wouldn't bother with us. Let's face it. So one day, and this is funny. One day I had temperature, and I lived in Washington Heights. And I had 3 guys, and they came to my house and they said, Ziggy, let's go to Coney Island, to Brighton Beach. I said, I have temperature, I don't want to go. We went, we took the train. They went on the beach, and I went and I laid underneath the boardwalk in Brighton Beach. You know Brighton Beach? You know, I lay on the boardwalk in Brighton Beach. And I was sick. And there was a group of girls sitting, laying there, and singing, making noise. And my wife was the leader. She was 18 that time. She was a Holocaust survivor in Siberia. I got up, I said, why don't you be quiet? She said, why don't you shut up or get away? That's it. Next week, a week later, I met a girl again, and next week or 2 weeks later, I passed by on the beach and I see a bunch of girls singing, and one girl is my wife, and one girl I came with her on the boat, father and them. So I walked over to her. I said, who is this girl? Because I want to give her an argument. He said, argument? I'll give you the telephone number. Call her up, make a date. I said, you're crazy. Anyhow, she calls over. This girl calls over to me and her. And I had a car already at the time. And so my wife says, if you take me to my parents, because I don't want to go to Sobe, I take a date with you. So I took her to parents. The parents were Holocaust survivors from Russia. And it clicked right away between me and his father and mother. And from there on, I went later, and they adopted me like I just do. And I married her.
What year did you get married?
53. Yeah, 53. I went through hell in the United States too. Yeah. So my sister-in-law, what I told you.
Oh, so the brother and sister, sister-in-law, where did they live?
They lived in Brooklyn, and then they lived in New Jersey. Then they retired. They moved to Florida. And my brother died 4 years ago. And my sister-in-law died last year. And they had a daughter. She died, she was 42 years old. Yeah, he went through the same thing what I did, yeah. And so now my son is interested in his thing. Yeah. And I am now, I belong to a conservative synagogue in Connecticut. A lot of people know me. I have speeches in high schools, and then in the yeshiva. I have speeches when my kids go to yeshiva in Riverdale, the Yeshiva Academy, when my kids go. And then I had speeches twice in New Rochelle, where my daughter belongs, a very rich community. They honored me twice. I had speeches. And then I went to high schools. And then I went twice on the March of Living. You know the March of Living? Twice with my wife. Once I took my wife and my daughter and my grandchild. I went them to Auschwitz, Birkenau, on Poland, all the camps. And then another story, I found out when I was separated from my parents, I was 14. Till after the war, blank. They wiped them out in the gas chambers and the trucks, you know, everything. I found out everything after the war because I didn't know for nothing. And then I found out my daughter went to Holocaust Museum in Washington, and she found out all my papers from Auschwitz and from Flossenburg, my numbers and everything, when I just do everything. And then we found out there's where my parents lived in the ghetto and were in the lodge. And my mother and my sister were sent away to the gas chamber. My father died in 43 in the ghetto. On the ghetto, the Jewish community took care and the burial and everything. And I found out I always wanted to go to the cemetery, where and what, I didn't know. I couldn't afford it, but finally, a few years ago, I decided I took my wife. I went once on the March of Living, and I went and I represented 76 students from Jewish high schools from New England, and I took him to the place where Mengele separated me, and I told him all the stories. And then 2 years ago, I went back and I took my son. And I went to and I found out where my father was buried. And I found out, they told me that she was buried in a mass grave. And I told a mass grave, but I found out there's the Jewish committee in Lodz took care, and they had a field, and they buried separate. And they gave him a Jewish burial. And I found out the record, the date and everything. But and they buried them as they died every month. It was overgrown. So a few years ago, the Israeli army went and they cleaned it up, all the graves. And I found out where my father was in a line, but I couldn't find his grave. You understand? But the records in Lodger Ghetto, I found it. My son is researching too. So I took my son. Hold on. And I went in the field. I have a picture. I didn't have a picture. I stay in the field. And I saw Kaddish to my Tato. And I said, Tato, I waited 70 years. The first thing, Tato, moet ik gegeven aan Jiddische Olvaja. En die ga ik zo Kaddish. En tussen die leeft nog. Tussen daar zit Einekel. Het is daar noemen. And I introduced myself. And I said, Tato, Hitler didn't succeed. There was a purpose, I survived. And I feel so good. I ain't nobody buried. I cannot go anymore, I'm too old. So anyhow, I went to Janina with my son and my daughters, my daughter, my grandchild, my wife, and I found a bed where I lived. Now the bed where I slept has a story too. It was 3 shifts. I was not allowed to, I was at the bottom. I was not allowed to sleep there. I had to sleep on the floor because the Russian bastards and the Polacks too. I was the bottom of the how you call it, tribe or what? There's a saying, the bottom of the. In the camp, they took advantage of me because I was human, I was Jewish. The Polacks, the Polacks on the Russian Häftlingers too, they hated us Jews too. So I have a picture. I call it bottom of the, I forgot the name of it, I skipped. Now, when I worked on the farm, I was 14, 15. My brother was 6 years old. My Jewish fellows from my city, who I knew, they mistreated me. My brother had to fight about me. My Jewish fellows. Then, let me see, Then I found out after the war. Well, now my son had it on the computer too, testimony from other guys from the ghetto. When I was in Kozhiminik, in the ghetto, it was the Judenlager. When I was sent out, and after the last time I saw my parents, they already made a fence, and they already used it as a ghetto. And they had already Yiddish police, Yiddish committee, and they took care of the Jews over there. My parents were there. This is what I found out now. And there was a name, Haftko, a name. He was a son from a very religious Hasidic mishpucha. I remember he came always, he was a student. Many times he came and sat by us in my father's factory. Now I found out he was worse than a Nazi. After the war, now we found out on the records. He took bribes, he killed, I don't know who he killed, he hid. He was cooperated with the Germans. But they would send him away when they liquidated the ghetto. But I found out later. So I hear stories.
Were you able to find out the day when your mother and the other siblings were taken to the...
Yes, I have from the Holocaust Museum, from the Lodge ghetto. I had a record, because they took records, whoever died, and whoever was on the way, and whoever lived in this apartment. So I have the date of my mother, and my 2 sisters, when they were sent away. Where, I don't know. But I heard after the war, some girl said she saw one of my sisters in the camp. My mother, they sent away in the gas chamber, I know. And then I have the date where my father died. Yeah. And when I went to Poland, and I went to the cemetery, and they have the records. I came there was a Polish holiday picked. And I walked over there. I took a taxi from Warsaw with my son and my nephew, and I went to make sure. And the office was closed, but I went to the cemetery. And then I went on the cemetery where they prepared the Yiddish burials. So I knew that my father was taking care. And I felt good. I went there and I introduced my son. And I am very happy about this. And then I tried to pass it, you know. But I was twice in Auschwitz. In Birkenau, when I was there with the groups, I told them the stories, everything. I have a lot of pictures. So
Did you actually find your father's grave?
I found there's a field, like an acre. On whoever died this month or this week, they put them on. So I have the line where my father this week died, but I could not find the grave. They had markers, but the marker disappeared. But I know the line. You understand? But I know where he is, you see, at least, yeah. And I felt so good. All my life I wanted to see where, because I knew my father died. And now I record here. My son sent me again copies where he died. He found, because he goes, you know what he found now? He found this, I'm not alive. In Israel, somebody testified this, I'm not alive. So he called up my son-in-law, and they took it off the list there. Yeah. And then another thing, you see, my dates and births, I gave different dates. You know, like in Auschwitz, I put down, my brother was born in 21. There was a big difference between me, so I put down 24, but I was born 27. And then in one camp, I put down 26. And then the names in Auschwitz, till Auschwitz, my name is Zukind. No. Then I went to another camp, Flossenburg or Großhausen. So the Polish people, they register Zukind. So they say, it's not like in the United States, spell it Zukind, they say Siegmund. Do you understand? Then they spell it in Germany, in Polish, Z-Y. Then I went to Germany, they did the same thing, they put on S, Siegmund. So when I registered, all of a sudden, how come I have Siegmund? So all my thing is Siegmund, yeah. So when I fill out papers, I make sure I said Zukind, Siegmund, on the dates too, yeah. So this is the rest of the story. I'm glad you interviewed me. I feel good. So what is the story about
I'm
you?
very happy that you let me come here and meet you and interview you.
So what are you going to do with this? Let me think.
We're working on a project to do presentations, and those presentations to further educate the next generation.
Are you by himself? Are you with?
My son and me.
Or your son? How old is your son?
30.
What is he doing?
Nothing.
Nothing. Yeshiva.
No, he lives in Israel. He has a rich father-in-law, so he doesn't have to.
What are you doing?
I'm a photographer.
Oh, I see.
I work for a living.
And you live in?
In New York.
Yeah. And what, do you have only one son?
No, I have 4 children. Can I
know? What are they doing?
2 boys and 2 girls.
Oh, good.
Let me just finish this off. Okay, grüße Schkoyach. Ich wollte, ihr redet Jiddisch?
Sure, ich kann Jiddisch.
Die ganze Zeit haben wir nicht geredet Jiddisch. Ich lasse mich ein bisschen Jiddisch.
Jiddisch, oh. I love to speak Yiddish. Yeah.
Ihr redet noch ein fluent Jiddisch?
Oh, sure, ich mit my wife, I read Yiddish. My brother is gestorben, so I read Yiddish. So my Kinder reden nicht Yiddish. Because ich gewohnt. But meine junge Tochter, was a Shomer Shabbos, sie ist geboren geworden, der Jüngste. Und meine Frau hat schon gearbeitet. So meine Mutter, die Mama von meiner Frau, hat genommen kehren für ihr. So sie hat geredet Jiddisch, so redet sie Jiddisch. Mein Sohn redet auch ein bisschen Jiddisch, ein bisschen, ja. Meine andere Tochter wird dazu. In die Stiebe hat man nicht geredet Jiddisch. Für die Kinder auch nicht geredet Jiddisch.
In Baachen stieb in daheim.
Wie in der
Fahren Milchumma.
Oh, Jiddisch, alle Jiddisch. Polisch, ich gewinne als Sinn. Ich kann Hass Polisch. Für sich, als Kind man doch mich diskriminiert, oder wie die Schwarze. De Polakken, beste. Man noch gewohnt, nachher noch, do you know if ich bin gewesen? You can film this. Kelze, die Pogromme Kelz, die weißen Pogromme Kelz. Ich bin gewesen, besuchen, mit einer Frau. Es sind doch gehagert 40 Menschen dort, in Kelz, die Polaken. Und ich bin noch gegangen. Ich bin dort gewesen, dort die Beste.
Ihr seid schon einmal zurückgefahren, ist sie euer Heimstadt?
No, ich habe nicht gewollt vor. Nicht mal, ich habe gewollt, no. Ich bin gegangen nach Hause, ich bin gegangen nach Polen, alle Camps, alle Camps.
Ja, warum sollt ihr nicht zurückgefahren zu euer Heim?
Ich habe nicht gewollt, ich habe nicht gewollt, das ist ein paar Wochen. In so mein Haus, meine Eltern, meine Baba und Seide, und er hat ein Haus. En in zo'n gebouwde huis. En nog te begonnen, mijn onkel, het ziek gegaan naar Polen. Ze claimen de huis en ze gewoon harkenen. En ze gewoon harkenen. Zo is het lopen. Heb ik dus gehoord, ze gaan naar Polen, de Polakken en zo. Anyhow, voor een paar jaar terug ben ik gegaan naar mijn lawyer. In 57th Street and 6th Avenue, somebody told me. En had geschreven a letter to claim the house because it is mijn baba's house. En de lawyer, en dan gezocht dat de lawyer kan verkopen, maar zijn geschäften. So anyhow, he found out and I got a copy of the deed. Mijn baba zei dat. En de lawyer, on gewoon's house, en gegaan to the Polaken, to the government. So zeggen ze no. Ze zijn converted as a condominium en zijn verkauft voor 6 apartments. A groot huis with a big land. En zeggen ze, maybe in the future you can get something. So I don't want nothing to do with him. So I gave it to my son, maybe in the future, but...
So de Babben zijn hem ook gewoond dort in dem Städtel?
Ja, ook, ja. De baba, ja. Mijn mama's...
Eltern?
Ja. En mijn baba had ik geschikt in een truck, een gastruck. Dus heb ik uitgevonden nog te begonnen. Mijn zijde, apart als kind dat gestorven ben, ik ben een kind. En mijn other baba, van mijn tata, in a gas in a truck. In the beginning is they use the trucks, weißt. Dus heb ik uitgevonden. Dus.
Das zeigt mir, dass ich sehe, ihr weißt nicht mehr Ersthand wie ich. Wieso ihr gewähnt die Trucks before the gas chambers?
The truck gewesen, like a moving van, black, and they sealed it up, and they put a pipe from the exhaust to the truck inside. And then they took the people, put them in the truck, closed the door, sealed them up, and then the driver put the lever, and he raised the engine, and the fumes went in. By the time they arrived to the woods, they're already dead, and then they dumped them in the grave. Wait, let me tell you another story. I just found out, can you hear Kurdish? Good. I found out after the war. Mijn mama's Schwester had geheiratet een man. En ze had een jonge boytje, had geheißen Moshe. Geboren geworden heeft ze in 1936, 37, maar dan nog gedenk. Dan moeten ze, aan ze gewoond door een einde gestoord. Dan moeten ze genomen in de ketter aan de Koziminik. Mijn mama, mijn tante, ik geweest pregnant in 9 maand. En ze had gehad geboren een kind in de ghetto. Voor zich ben nog geweest dort. En het is teut. En sie hat noch gelebt. En sie kennt kriegen Kontakte dort. En sie ist gestorben. Auch dort beim Geburt. Hat man gerade ein Lovaio mit dem Kind in ihr. Das ist gewesen 1940. Now, dus bin ich dort gewesen. Now habe ich ausgefunden, efter de Mechumo, habe ich ausgefunden. Meine Schwester ist gewesen, geboren efter 1918, or what. Und mein Onkel mit dem Kind gewesen, der Deutsche ist gewesen, 8 Jahre, 9 Jahre in der Ghetto. Und somehow habe ich ausgefunden, als meine Schwester hat geheiratet, mein Onkel. Du verstehst, was ich meine? Meine Schwester in der Ghetto hat geheiratet, mein Onkel, was der Frau gestorben. Dann gewesen junge Menschen. Das habe ich ausgefunden, uit het begonnen. En hij had genomen de kinderen en de wagens en de black car trucks. Had me genomen mijn onkels, mijn onkel en metgegaan naar Valentilli. En ik ben gestorben ook dort. Dus heb ik uitgevonden nog te begonnen. Because mijn onkel had leven gebleven in Israël. Zo dus is hem uitgevonden. Kijk wat zei dus toch.
Okay, I groß Schkoich for Zeit.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
I'm glad you're doing it, yeah. I thought you're writing a book. Maybe you write a book.
It's going to come to that too.
You write a book, but you have to edit, you know, yeah. But if you go on the computer and you put my name, you put down Siegmund or Zukind. If you put down Zukind, then you're going to get Flossenburg. I was in Flossenburg. On Siegmund, you're going to get, and if you want to have my records from the interview, from Spielberg, I think if you fill out application, this for study, you might get it, yeah. I have tapes. I gave it to my son and I gave it to my children. But I don't have nothing here. You see.
Yeah, but the tapes have to be converted because who uses tapes today?
No, my son converted as I still have a tape. He converted on a CD. Yeah, I have it, but I have it in Connecticut, yeah. But what I told you this, but over there is more details. But like I said, if a professional would relax me I can, because I remember it comes names and this too. Yeah. My mind is kind of horror. Maybe my body is giving up, my necks. Thank God I'm alive.